Ooh, ah. Hello everyone, it's Ryan Liberty, and welcome to my series on personality traits and personality disorders. In this series, I'll be talking about the 25 maladaptive personality traits and how they relate to the personality disorders that we're all already familiar with. My hope is that by going through these personality traits, you'll get a greater understanding of what it means to have a personality disorder, and maybe a deeper understanding and an opportunity to look at the personality traits that you have and see some areas where you may be able to improve. In order to do this, I'll be using the alternative model for personality disorders, which can be found in the 5th edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders in Section 3. This is the DSM, and this is the book that clinicians use when they decide whether or not somebody has a mental disorder, or in the case of this series, a personality disorder. Traditionally, when we think of personality disorders, we think of diagnosing them in terms of the old method, which is the categorical method. The categorical method of diagnosing a personality disorder simply means that we look at somebody and see how they're presenting a number of symptoms, and depending on whether they meet enough of those symptoms, enough of those criterion, then they will have a personality disorder or they will not have a personality disorder. It's very much a black and white either or thing. The new way of looking at things, which is found in the alternative model, is known as a dimensional way of looking at personality disorders. This dimensional way of looking at things allows us to get a greater understanding of the full impact of a personality disorder on somebody's life. And we look at somebody's life through different areas. One of those areas that we look at through the dimensional model is life functioning. And we look into areas such as identity, self-direction, the person's capacity for empathy, and the person's capacity for intimacy. And judging on those different areas and how they're functioning, that may give us a clue that there's something going on with their personality. Another thing that we look at is the severity of this impact on their life. So we have a scale now going from 0, which is little to no impairment in their life functioning, all the way up to 4, which is extreme impairment. And you can see right away that this changes the way that we look at personality disorders, because in the categorical method, you either had a disorder or you did not have it. This new way of looking at things through a severity range allows you to see that you can have a slightly lower level of functioning, or you could have a higher level of functioning and still have a personality disorder. Of course, there's also the 25 maladaptive personality traits, which is the bread and butter of this way of looking at personality disorders. Looking at them this way, they're organized into 5 different domains, and some of you may be familiar with the big 5-factor model of personality traits. This has been adapted into this new alternative model. So the ocean traits, this is exactly what it's talking about. It's just been renamed. And the big 5 domains that we're talking about now are negative affect, detachment, antagonism, disinhibition, and psychoticism. So under those 5 domains, we have the 25 maladaptive personality traits. The 25 maladaptive personality traits are Anhedonia, Anxiousness, Attention-seeking, Callousness, Deceitfulness, Depressivity, Distractibility, Eccentricity, Emotional Lability, Grandiosity, Hostility, Impulsivity, Intimacy Avoidance, Irresponsibility, Manipulativeness, Perceptual Dysregulation, Perseveration, Restricted Affectivity, Rigid Perfectionism, Risk-taking, Separation Insecurity, Submissiveness, Suspiciousness, Unusual Beliefs and Experiences, and Withdrawal. Of course, although this is meant to provide you with a lot of information about personality disorders and personality traits, this information should not be used to diagnose somebody. If you are a clinician, I would refer you to Section 3 of the DSM-5 to look into the alternative model for yourself. Just to recap quickly, what we're looking at in this series is the dimensional model of personality disorders, which we can find in the alternative model for personality disorders in the DSM-5. This is a change from the categorical model, which typically looked at personality disorders from seeing whether or not you had a set of symptoms and then deciding from there that you did have a personality disorder or you did not. This new dimensional model allows us to look at a comprehensive picture of what's going on in somebody's life see how their life is functioning in specific areas, and then examine the 25 maladaptive personality traits to see exactly what's going on. If you're finding this information helpful and would like to see the rest of this series, please subscribe, and thank you for joining me.